that's it?
No,
okay,
one more.
One more.
But there's a
okay.
concerted.
Yes.
There is a concerted, and looking at the hand of Susasaur, I think this is just game. If anything gets played. I'm just trying to think about the maybe potential.
Yeah, the play, I mean, it played out to massively punish Freddo, right? But the read was that Successor didn't have a Hush, because it would have been a pretty fine play to use Hush last turn. So Freddo choosing not to play around a top decked Hush did end up hurting them a bit, but as you said, Successor's still down to 1. We know it's effectively actually can cast both Star Shaping, so effectively 11, but Freddo actually not really that concerned with life at this point, because there's gonna be a lot of damage coming through.
Yeah, and that's probably not going to be answerable by just double fangs. I would have to say, seeing as how the lifesteal not going to go through when you get those barriers up. Not actually finding an Equinox, which was the other potential way to find an out here. Because Equinox plus the double fangs
your back! Nature blesses her followers! Intruders! I never hold back. Try me. Nature blesses her followers! Nature blesses her followers! Strength in grace, beauty in the blade. Let them eat. En garde! Your move. I long for a worthy opponent.
eye of twilight sees all.
I will cut you. Try me.
The Kinku go where they are needed.
Nature blesses her followers. We will regain what we have lost.
Flesh was weak, but look at me now. Can you improve perfection? Evolve or die. System upgrade. Join me if you want to live. Prime and ready. System upgrade.
The mum still like a yodel in uniform.
Safety disengaged. Progress.
Arr!
Can you improve perfection? A ticket to the gun show. I am superior life life form. Prime and ready. Safety disengaged. Prime and ready. Safety disengaged.
down to losers bracket might have a chance to run it back and get another shot at Deech later on in the tournament. We'll be facing off against Len. As we see, Rise Black ID took down Wannabe, so we won't be getting any more Shurima on the winner's side right now, but Wannabe will be waiting their matchup in the losers bracket, as we will have Deech versus Rise Black ID for the winner's final. One of them will be punching their ticket to next week's Fight Night, but also a shot in the grand finals and the lion's share of the money.
Yeah, and the People's Champ Manasia not able to take it out. I mean, brought a really fun looking lineup, but Lulu Jinx not able to make it to the big stage, unfortunately. But maybe another time.
Yeah, maybe another time we'll see the Lulu Jinx find the light of day. But for now, we are going to take a short break. When we return, more Fight Night Legends. Deech versus Rise Black ID for the winners final. One of these two will be punching their ticket to next week's Fight Night and the grand final here tonight, trying to play for that lion's share of the money. Blev, what do you make of the night so far?
Oh, we've had a lot of ups, and I wouldn't even say we've had very many downs. We've had a couple of questionable lines in some of the games, but I mean we saw Mono Fiora perform well. We saw Talia, that was from the same lineup. We saw Deech just take a 2-0, and I mean I think we've got a nice spread of decks. Of course, there is the fair share of Fior Shen. There's only one TF Fizz, that of course is Deech, who is currently sitting in our winners finals, but. Yeah, I mean, this matchup is shaping up to be rather interesting, even though it does have a lot of familiar faces. Rise Black ID does have the Fior-Shen, but also has brought back a maybe not timeless classic, but a classic nonetheless in Draven Ezreal. The full Tri-Beam Improbulator version. We've got, good old Captain Farron. Anybody remember him? He used to be the talk of the town. Now he's just we barely ever see him, but standard classic Draven Ezreal, a deck that we've seen for quite some time, making its way back into a Fight Night top lineup.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I remember the captain. I remember Captain Farron for sure. He definitely, organizing his axes, getting them all set up. I'm ready to see some Farron again. I think Draven Ezreal been a little bit. We used to see it all the time. Used to not be very exciting, but I think when you don't see it for a while. It is a deck that does have some excitement, especially with the tri-beams. Get to see some maybe some zinc beams today. It always has some excitement to watch, and I'm definitely glad to see it. And the fact is once again, it finds its way to the winners final. I mean, this deck is just, it feels like it's always successful when it comes back into the meta in whatever capacity, whether it is just a few times or whether it is kind of the meta staple.
Yep.
We tend to see a lot of success with this deck for a very long time. I mean, this has been around since the dawn of time. We have seen Draven Ezreal's running around. So yeah, this deck is one that definitely stands the test.
Yeah. I remember the first time we cast the mirror, that we both cast the mirror. I wasn't familiar with it. And who was it? It was Glasses. I don't even think they play anymore. Remember who that was? They played the mirror, and I'm like, oh, this mirror is actually a lot more interesting than I thought it was. This was like before Bilgewater was released, but back in the day,
back in beta. Yeah,
back in beta for sure. So yeah, certainly a deck that has been there for quite some time. And I mean, when you think of a meta filled with, Twisted Fate Fizz, I mean, it's got a lot of ways to deal with, some of the smaller threats, notably no Static Shock here, which is generally quite a good answer to, multiple Burble Fish. But, you do have your full suite of Mystic Shots. You've got the Tri-Beams. You've got Thermogenic Beam, Ravenous Flock, paired with Arachnoid Sentry to be able to deal with the Twisted Fate. At least one axis of that deck is able to be answered. And yeah, a lot of those same answers do well against the aggro Nightfall deck as well. So this might be a little bit of a roadblock for Deech here.
Yeah, a couple copies of the Scorched Earth as well, which we will not really see be a factor in this matchup against Deech, but generally Scorched Earth quite good in the meta right now with so much Veiled Temple.
Yep.
So I do like that is included, but yeah, it's not going to be great against Deech's lineup, seeing as how there are 0 total artifacts. Now, of course, Scorched Earth is one of the better artifact killers because its secondary effect is also quite good. It's just an Noxian Guillotine that doesn't get the reset, which is generally pretty solid overall. But yeah, we're going to be taking a look on Deech's perspective going up against Rise Black ID. And Double Flight once again available to Deech to get really aggressive in the early game if he so chooses. I feel like that does feel good. Once again, against the Fiora list, having these like weak creatures or weak units that you're going to be able to send in, get that face damage, and then, well, they pull themselves off the board so that they aren't killed away by the Fiora.
Yeah. I got to bring up something here, Casa. So we see not one but 2 Nopifies in Rise Black ID's hand. One of them was kept in the opener. I'll give you a chance to guess. How many nopifiable cards do you think are in Deech's deck?
1. It's 1.
It's technically up to 3. The jump cuts.
Oh,
God,
my
we love
god, Deej.
the jump cut. It's technically up to 3 because Nocturne can also generate unspeakable horrors if there's one in play. But yes, it is 1. So I don't know that the Nopify keep was the highest percentage play here, but regardless, we're gonna see Rise Black ID keeping them, and yeah, it's gonna have 2 now, just in case.
All right, Deej. You got to deal with the Fiora. We know you're not happy about it. Let's see. I mean, what does it look like? Flight, plus we're going to get the 5-3 down. Try and overwhelm through the Crescent Guardian. No, just double flight. Maybe
Okay.
Diana. Just to get a free trade onto the board. The flights get to go back into the deck. And you probably just don't swing with this Crescent Guardian. You could push for 4 with the Crescent Guardian, actually, but you would be sacrificing it to a Fiora in order to do so.
Yeah. I mean, if you're Deech, you have to assume that there's something, right? It's either well, maybe you don't. I guess you can just not attack and just say have the single combat.
Yeah.
I guess the attacking with it or not doesn't change the fact that single combat is going to stop this from happening, and attacking just gives them the option to not use the single combat. So looks as though the Rise Black ID is going to go for the Fiora kill instead.
Yep. Fiora gonna get or Diana, sorry. Diana getting killed off.
I probably said Fiora.
Yeah. Diana getting killed off, and Fiora's now at 2 of 4. Gets a barrier. There are not many pings. I mean, this is a horrible matchup for this this version of Nightfall.
Yeah.
There are not good ways to. I mean, this is just a burger flip on whether or not we got the Fiora in hand for Rise Black ID, and Deech flipped the burger and it landed cheese side down.
Yeah, you always hate to see it. What's interesting though is that Deech technically could have had the option to go Nocturne and then use Unspeakable Horror to proc the barrier and actually trade with Fiora, but as we know, that would have been countered by the Nopifies and Rise Black ID's hand.
Yeah. Well, there's the keep for you, Blev. There it is.
Got there.
Yeah.
All right, Deech doing all that they can here. This Nopify, I mean, maybe it's just I need exactly 1 Nopify and it can't be less, and more is probably not good, but it can never be less. I always need to counter that 1 proc, because, I mean, we look at it here, there's not very many turns left in this game, right? It is very much, the game is going to be decided whether it is literally over from Fiora winning or it is effectively over from Deech killing this Fiora.
Yep, there we go. Go for the fearsome swing.
Yeah.
Just barely not enough to make the whole board fearsome.
Oh, and the Fiora emote, you love to see it. Oh, wait, this is good enough.
Yeah.
This still wins even through the barrier, right? Barrier doesn't matter.
No, barrier doesn't
5,
stop the
9,
extra
10, 11,
damage.
and then the overwhelm, I think.
Oh, the buff.
The second
riposte.
buff.
Yeah, I didn't notice the second riposte in hand. Yeah, that's.
Yep.
I mean, that buff is just going to be able to allow the block, and that will turn it around. But Deech was so close, close to finding it. Instead, Khan comes through. And that is going to be the first game going over to Rise Black ID. That matchup looking pretty brutal, but Deech almost pulled it back. Almost found the win at the end there. I was kind of missing that second riposte. I saw the one, didn't recognize the second, but that was enough to protect against it.
Yeah.
And was it enough damage before the Crescent Guardian went in? Because I actually don't know if I've seen that happen before, because that would have been Fiora killing the Crescent Guardian at the same time that the Nexus died. Would it be a draw, or does that go one way or the other?
I think that Deech would have won that. in that
I
case.
think Beach wins in that scenario.
Yeah,
I'm not sure if I've seen that before
I've had-
personally. I don't know if I've encountered
I
it.
don't recall if it was that exactly, but I've seen something similar happen. Oh no, it was with yeah, it was with something else, but I think that Deech would have won there and it wouldn't have been a draw, but
Gotcha.
I could be
yeah.
wrong.
Well, if someone in chat knows definitively, let us know. But yeah, that's a cool potential spot that we had there if it wasn't for the repost. To do some science on Fight Night once again.
Yeah.
You know, we don't get to pull up our science segment too often, but you know, that would have been an opportunity for us to do so. But yeah, no, I mean that's the first game going to Fiora Shen. I think that's a little bit expected when we look at that lineup and that matchup. We look at, you know, Fiora Shen going into Nightfall. I think we can expect Fiora Shen to have a good time, especially once we saw the Fiora drawn. It was still very close. But Deech now having to take 2 games against Ezreal Draven, and
Yeah.
you know, this is a deck that generally doesn't have very volatile matchups. I think has
Right.
always been historically true of Ezreal Draven. It generally just has good, solid tables against the whole field, which is why it was so consistently brought back. And I'm not sure what its table looks like against TF Fizz or Nightfall in particular, but just historically, the fact that the deck is solid, I would imagine it at least has game and can find the win against either of these. And I think, you know, having 2 chances at this deck is going to feel good.
Yeah, I do think in general the go wide plan of Deech is going to be quite
Draven, and I think Nightfall. Now, while I did say that I do think Ezreal Draven has pretty stable matchups, the fact that this is essentially a double aggro lineup and it
Yep.
does not have healing is going to make it harder. I think that these matchups historically are the ones number 3. Take it and find his spot, punch his ticket to the grand final. We'll be returning to next week's Fight Night, and Deech is going to have to make the run from loser's side, pull it back and make it there. So Draven Ezreal comes through at the end of the day, gets that damage in, finds the win.
Yeah, and I know chat was clowning on Ballistic Bot earlier on in the match, and he is saying, "Don't talk to me or my son ever again," because that was a 7-3 Ballistic Bot that generated a bunch of spells, generated a bunch of extra damage, and I mean, got there as exacties in the end, and I mean, really great way, as Rise Black ID to set up and put themselves in a position to be in a winning spot and actually be able to pull it through.
Yeah, I mean, I'm in shock. I thought it was done. I didn't kind of do the calcs on the mushroom clouds being able to buff up that ballistic bot and bring it home for Rise Black ID. But we're gonna take a quick look at the bracket here to see how the losers bracket is progressing as well. Since we did just have our first grand finalist locked in with Rise Black ID, but we look over here. Looks like Ferretto did fall to Len. Len going to be moving on. And looks like we're awaiting some results from Susasora and Squeeby going into the wannabe match so we can continue to progress our bracket. But Deech will be awaiting in the losers final for all of this to finish up to see who will be joining Rise Black ID next week and also be joining them in the grand finals trying to compete for that spot as Fight Night Legends champion.
Yeah, I mean, we've had honestly, even the matches where we've had Fiora Shen and we've had TF in the matchup, we've seen such a variety of other decks and matchups played out that this has been a really a breath of fresh air cast after last week, which we kind of expected to happen, not only because of all the peer pressure we've been putting on the players on social media, but also because people want to win. And if everyone is playing the best deck, sometimes you can just play a deck that beats those decks.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of times if everyone's playing the best decks, you are just coming in and flipping. So if you want to, give yourself a way to kind of break out, you do need to kind of switch it up. And we ended up seeing like everyone switch it up, which is cool. Definitely love to see that. Love to see a lot of diversity this week. A lot of different decks that we're getting to cast, a lot of variety of games, and we're going to have even more variety as we continue on through the day. We're going to go to a short break, but we'll be continuing on with the losers bracket of Fight Night Legends when we return. Don't go anywhere. losers round 1 still going on. It's been a bit of a banger. This matchup between Cesor and Squeeby has been going on for over an hour. They are going in with the, I believe this is just Zoe Aphelios going up against the GLC from Squeeby.
Yep. And we're seeing this in reverse because the invoke screen is up right now, so we'll get that fixed in just a second here. As I'm like, wait a second, why is this board look flipped? Okay, there we go. Yeah, this is like, okay, round 9. So we're on round what, 11 or 12 right now. But this looks like Watcher is at 3 of 4. Was it? Yeah, 3 of 4. So this will be a 0-cost Watcher. It'll come down. We see that Susasaur has the Equinox, so it will just be a big old dumb idiot.
Yeah, I think that is the scientific term for a silenced Watcher. It is a big old dumb idiot.
Big old dumb idiot. Well, Lysandra coming out. Still leveled up Lysandra, gonna be pretty good. No frozen thrall, so the dreams of having another 8/8 on round 19 are now gone. This is presenting lethal though, as the Blighted Ravine will put Susasaur down to 14. 11 plus 3 is 14.
Yep, clears the chump blocker as well.
Yep.
We do see the star shaping, however.
Of course we do.
As much as you may not want to see it, and you may pretend you do not see, we do see the star shaping, and that is Lendas Vivas coming out.
Ooh, I love that name.
Living Legends. Cesor going down to 5. We'll be able to start playing to this board. Mountain Scryer.
Yep.
Going to find the Immortal Fire. Bars.
There you go. Because his situation here is quite dire. And if I thought he was sure to win this turn, I'd be a liar. And I'm giving up. I'm not a trier. There we go. That's it.
Okay.
That's how I did it.
Okay. Bars.
And scene. Anyways, back to the match here. Susasaur.
Did we ever leave?
Unfortunately, no. We did not.
Crescendum. Going to be able to pull a box. The plus VC Severum is going to be grabbed on the phase.
Yeah.
Susasaur has a Spell Thief. I am curious, what has been played this game, if that's going to be coming into effect.
What hasn't been played this game?
Right. I mean, that's probably the better question, but I guess it's more just matters to us what will be offered, like what is...
Right.
What are the options going to be? Because I imagine that is something that we'll see played at some point in this game. I think it is just one of the best options that Susasaur will have to protect themselves. We continue to see poked away with the Ice Shards. Lysandra just going to be trying to continue put that pressure on as we have a 3-turn clock on this Thrall, which is very threatening considering the amount of HP that is available for Susasaur.
Yeah, in this scenario, obviously you don't necessarily want to lose your Ice Pillar here, but probably not worth it to go for anything else. Squeeby, again, trying to set up a very healthy open attack potentially with this Matron. Granted, it won't have, obviously, even if there was a target, there wouldn't be value for it. because the unit is ephemeral. So just going to set up a good open attack here. There is even a a backup Lysandra should this one get killed. Yep, and this is Immortal Fire coming through and setting up the blocks. And Casa, I'm beginning to see why this game has been going for so long. It seems, Squeeby gets ahead a little bit and then just not ahead anymore.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a very tight spot between the two, but Squeeby does have that kind of inevitability of the ice shards at this point in the game. However, on the other side, if Susasora can find that over-the-top damage, he can still take the win. Going for the Ice Shard, though, is going to open up Crescent Strike to basically nullify any attack on this turn.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, which, is fine for Squeeby. I think the odds of getting lethal on the attack are pretty low in general. I mean, it wasn't going to happen without the Ice Shard, right? Just blocks could have came out, and they wouldn't necessarily be in favor of Squeeby. Ooh, this could be interesting. We could potentially get a Trundle here and go over the top.
Yeah, Trundle I think would be really solid, and yeah, finds the Trundle.
Trundle would get pumped up by 3. Go up to 8. Only 4 can be blocked. I mean, it will require either another Crescent or the Hush.
Yeah, likely the Crescent, because Hush is not going to be enough unless another blocker is presented. Because there are still 3 attackers that can go through.
Right. Yep, there's a second strike. But this is all fine for Squeeby. I mean, the chances of him dying next turn, given the board state, obviously, are low considering the harsh winds.
I would say, considering the harsh winds, it's 0. I would say the chances of dying are...
Well, I mean, Living Legends could get into what? Destroyers, maybe even... Could you get 2 Destroyers? No,
yeah, I guess Destroyer, maybe dodges out on the harsh winds. Probably a good amount of Celestials have been played.
But for Squeeby, all this attacking is just fine. Let's get Susasora to use resources. I've got the inherent clock of Ice Shards happening, so he's going to have to do something, whereas Squeeby can theoretically just keep passing the turn and casting Ice Shards, and the game will end in his favor.
Yep, even has the harsh winds for the Severum that was just picked up, because that Severum was an opportunity for Susasora to kind of reset the clock.
Mm-hmm.
But no, it's going to keep ticking down, and the Frozen Thrall actually finally going to break free of its ice prison.
Just in time.
Join the ranks of the Overwhelms for the next attacking turn.
Okay. Living Legends comes out. Let's see, a comet, a fallen meteor, and what looks like 2 cosmic inspirations.
Yeah, couple cosmic inspirations. Not really what you want to see if you're Susasora. I think we finally gotten to the end of the line. It's looking like here. You do have the meteor shower potentially to come down, but the Frozen Thrall breaking out and the Lysandra generating these ice shards should be putting Squeeby in a spot to win.
Yeah, the comet here can kill the Lysandra and the Babbling Bjerg. Doesn't really matter, though.
Yeah, I mean, this is another Lysandra in hand, I believe. This Entomb. This is a Lysandra's Entomb, so can just replace it, continue the train of ice shards to close it out.
I do like firing off the I guess it doesn't really matter if you're just going to immediately play another Lysandra. But firing off the Ice Shard, I guess the 1 damage it does doesn't really matter. Tavern Keeper can come out. Maybe he's going to go just full up to 20. Yeah, there's Severum.
Yeah, potentially trying to play around a single freeze onto the Immortal Fire by putting the Severum on the Boxtopus instead. Harsh Winds can still answer that.
No real reason to open with Harsh Winds.
Squeeby has that hour-long game hyper worried about making a mistake here, I think. Trying to play really slow, look through all the options.
Yep. When you've already committed this much time, you might as well go through the motions at this point.
You can go for the freeze, stop the lifesteal, stop the damage.
Yep.
And go for the Ice Shard and the Lysandra.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I don't know if you play the Lysandra here. You kind of, like, yes, you want to generate the Ice Shard, but also that Comet is still there. Unless Susasor commits the Comet beforehand, which is exactly what Squeeby is going to be looking for.
Yeah, I mean, I anticipate that Susasor has to commit the Comet here. It's fleeting, and
Right.
Squeeby could just pass. I mean, if he doesn't have Lysandra, Squeeby would pass, always. In every situation that he doesn't have Lysandra. So
Yep.
you do see it committed onto the Trundle.
Okay.
We'll see Lysandra come down. That will
Yeah.
generate the Ice Shard, and unless we see another Star Shaping off rip, the game will just end to the Ice Shard. But even if we do, it might just end anyway. The Frozen Thrall
Yeah.
coming out.
Well, plus, I mean, in another 8 turns, we're going to have another Frozen Thrall. Okay, Ice Shard. That does not look like a Star Shaping. I think. Well, we could see something like Spell Thief into something, right?
Yeah,
Like,
I mean that's the last out, right? Is Spell Thief into something, but this is also 31 damage coming in. We can chump a little bit
Yep.
here,
Mm-hmm,
but I don't know if you can chump enough to survive at 1, even with anything Spell Thiefed. I think Squeeby's gonna have it in this spot, especially considering that whatever spell is stolen, it can be responded to by the Ice Shard. Deal that
Yep.
1.
Yep.
Finish it off.
Yep.
Spell Thief.
Definitely
I mean,
like
we'll see what can get
sequencing.
pulled.
Yeah.
Ice Shard, a great
Can
one.
go out on his own terms.
Yeah. Fading Memory is not going to be enough. And yeah, that should just be Squeeby taking this one. 2-1. Very long round between these two. But we do finally have a result after 80 minutes, it looks like. How long that one went according to our bracket.
It's our time. What do you mean? Travels on the night air.
Embrace the night, Aphelios.
We will resist.
I'm not afraid! Just a wee bit late.
Believe.
Ooh, you wee scruff!
Reach out, Aphelios. The brighter my light, the stronger your shadow.
I'm always up for a round or two. Dead in their tracks.
I'll find you.
Night flowers upon my blade.
Oh yeah, that's a pretty struggle fight.
forced us to.
Embrace the night, failures. A crescent path opens before us.
Pablo's been down. What is next?
Our path is fixed. Now, we must walk it. See as I see.
stayed home, pal.
Lunari, rise!
Ooh, you wee scruff! Gather round!
Sister. Reach out, Aphelios.
Keep your eyes on the horizon and your feet on the ground.
Graviton.
Deal me in. Blue as the Serpentine.
Distance means so little when family means so much.
Should have stayed home, pal.
Eyes on the horizon and your feet on the ground.
Nice to meet you.
to?
You're provoking it.
Distance seems so lit when family means so much.
What does it mean?
Some rocks just won't sit still. Even sand has its uses.
Sister.
The trolls are going to war!
Embrace the night, foes. Crescendo.
Turn the stones.
I will bury the world in ice. I thought there was no time.
What will you have?
Embrace the calm.
For every phase, a weapon.
you need to stop the shuffle. So I think you have to try to kill the champion here in case there's a champion spell and stop that chain, right? It doesn't really matter in this case, but
Yeah, I mean, wasn't able to kill the Aphelios, but you didn't know if there is a second Talia or not. So generally,
Right.
probably the Talia kill is better. Interestingly, we see Infernum picked up, so looking for that overwhelm damage, just trying to push more. This Watcher, I believe, it is just going to obliterate your deck again if you don't stop it. So we will need to see a Gravitum at some point, unless Tanya Wannabe is looking to win right now with a Great Beyond.
Yeah, needs to cast this this buff onto Aphelios, or it will just die, and then it won't be an Aphelios spell anymore. But this is actually still going to happen, because Ice Shard plus Vile Feast or Ice Shard plus Withering Wail is going to still be able to threaten to kill the Aphelios. Although actually, no, with the buff, with the Severum buff, it'll still live. Okay, Great Beyond. Not good enough.
Yeah, I mean, it's only an 8/8. You know, that's cool and all, but
No deck, no win. Yeah, this is just over unless I mean, it's gonna have to be a miracle Living Legends.
I'm not sure that there is even one that can get there. It would have to be a lot of really cheap celestial spells, and then I suppose the destroyer, but I don't know if that's even getting there, because the destroyer is the only one cheap enough that you could play with a bunch of other.
Yeah, and we see that that's not going to be good enough because there's a Spirit Journey and an Entomb.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Squeeby's gonna have it. Squeeby gonna be continuing this loser's run.
Yeah, this is like, these games are on a wait, unless no. No. The Ice Shard procking the shields is going to be more than enough here. There's still two answers.
Still isn't even enough damage between these two because of the tough nexus.
Right.
So it's just not going to be enough. I mean, Squeeby dropped to the losers bracket in round 1, has the grindy 80+ minute match against Susasor, and now moves on against Tanya Wannabe. Gonna take the 2-0. I believe the next in line for Squeeby to come knocking is Len. As it should be a deck out victory after this round.
Yep. Yeah. Not even enough damage. And Tanya Wannabe giving the GG and the sad Poro. But even there is no way to mess this up. You can just hit skip block and be okay. You can also cast Spirit's Journey if you want to. Doesn't matter. It's all going to be good. You don't have anything to worry about. I'm going to go for it anyway.
No, I mean, yeah, he's either way, he's got it. He knows that it's just one more draw. Yep. Game is done. Squeeby continuing the reign of terror in the losers bracket. I mean, maybe this will be a cephalopod-esque losers run.
Yeah.
All the way back to the losers final. Could see it happen as he takes down Wannabe. Len is next. Losers semifinal will be Squeeby versus Len.
Yeah, and I mean, really, unfortunately for Wannabe, the sort of called shot, meta sniper, not quite good enough against the, a Targon deck plus the, just traditional control deck. Just not really what that deck is aimed to beat, but certainly love to see the call out of Wannabe there. And, if he's ever back on a future one, hopefully he'll make a similar call, maybe have better success. But that was a 2-0 by Squeeby there. We saw it. The Talia deck just not able to to close it out.
Yeah, I mean, spicy lineup from Wannabe. Looked good in the first set. We watched it today. Looked awesome. Just
Yeah.
didn't have the consistency. Wasn't able to continue the success throughout. Ends up dropping here. Squeeby picking that up, continuing this run. I mean, it's a miraculous run, right? Lost to Deech in round 1.
Yeah.
He's got one more match here before he gets his second crack at Deech in the losers final. If he can take down Len, that'll be our next matchup: Squeeby versus Len.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I mean, a storied run by Squeeby. Of course, these matches taking a little bit of extra time. Hey, that's okay. You get your shot at Fight Night. You take your time. You play as well as you can. You make it through, and you get the wins that you can scrape. And you love to see it. I mean, a storied run for sure. And we're of course going to be watching. Squeeby the rest of the way out until he either wins the tournament or loses and is eliminated.
Yeah, we watch Squeeby from here on out, or the victor takes his place, right? That's just
Right.
That's how it goes, basically. Following along. I mean, the Len, we got to see Len earlier. Actually against Wannabe, we saw Len get completely destroyed by a turn 3 Fiora going up against Scouts. He had no way to answer it, and a very, very close match against the Streamalist. So Len now getting his chance. He took down Manesia. Now getting his chance, took down Ferretto, and now he's got his chance against Squeeby, who has been on a tear. But we're going to go to a quick break. When we return, we will have the matchup of Squeeby versus Len, losers semifinal. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to Giant Slayer's Fight Night Legends. We're going straight into game with this one. We've got Squeeby versus Len. Len going to be starting out on Scouts, going up against the Aphelios Twisted Fate of Squeeby. No champions in hand yet for Squeeby, but Len on the other side, actually a pretty reasonable curve here. He's got a play on 1. He's got the bank on 2 for Sharp Sight, and then can go into Misfortune. Overall curving out into the 4-5 pretty decently as well on top of that. And we'll see how that progresses throughout the turns as well. And just getting that early aggressive board trying to go off.
I mean, obviously would rather have a 2-drop here, but I mean, you still get to play Uno as much as you normally would. You see a 1-mana unit, you play a 1-mana unit. You see a 3-mana unit, you play a 3-mana unit, etc., etc. Vanguard Bannerman, Quinn, all that. So, I mean, a very nice goldfish hand being put forth by Len, and Squeeby certainly going to do their best to